It is Tuesday, which of course means it's time to answer the questions that you guys send in every single week on the BrendenPlayz forums at BrendenPlayz.com/forums or in the YouTube comments section down below. We've had a big week in terms of the podcast because last week we debuted the podcast and now we're back with a second episode of the podcast. And the podcast, Let's Talk Tuesdays, can be found on Spreaker. And the link to that will be in the description down below. As well as that, you can find it on iTunes. And you can find it on iTunes by searching up Let's Talk Tuesdays. We've had a pretty big week. We've had over 3,500 plays on the podcast from what I can tell. And we've had over 200 downloads, nearly hitting about 250 downloads. And that's not a big number to some, but to me that's a really good start. And I'm very proud of how many downloads we got. I can't track the amount that support that we've gotten from iTunes. I don't know how many subscribers or anything like that we've got. But I'm going to say that we've done pretty well this week. I've been very happy with the launch of the podcast, and so far so good. I'm very, very pleased to see how the response that you guys gave the podcast, and you guys were basically giving a lot of positive feedback. There wasn't really many negatives. There wasn't anybody saying, "Oh, it's too long," I don't like it, whatever. As most people saying, "Yeah, the podcast is great, keep it up," So that was awesome to see, and I really thank everyone who tuned in for the first episode and enjoyed the first episode. That's really, really good to see. So you guys, of course, can find the show on iTunes, Spreaker, and as well as that, you can find it on YouTube. And is there a recommended thing that I would want you guys to listen to? No, I made the podcast so you guys can listen to the show on as many platforms as I can, offer. So I want you guys to have as many options as you can to listen to the show on. Obviously, I don't gain any revenue off iTunes and Spreaker. I mainly get that off YouTube, but to me, I don't really care what you listen to. It's not about that. It's just about providing an entertaining show for you guys and giving it to you guys on as many platforms as I can. So this week was also a big week for me in terms of my YouTube channel hitting 25,000 subscribers. That is a big, big number for me. That's really, really awesome to finally hit a number like that. And, when you hit a number like that, you kind of feel very accomplished. You kind of feel as though, yeah, I've made it a little bit. I still say my channel's small, and I know a lot of people say to me, "Hey, your channel's not small, you got 25,000 subscribers," and I'm thinking to myself, yeah, I have 25,000, but 25,000 in this day and age is not really all that much. 25,000 is like, it's like 1,000 in this day and age. It's not that much to me, to be honest. I know it's kind of silly to say that, but yeah, I've got a fan base now, and I really thank everyone that has been a part of the journey and has joined me since the beginning. It doesn't matter if you joined if you were number 25,000 or if you were number 1. I respect and thank you so much. No matter what part of the journey that you came along on. I can't thank you enough for hitting the subscribe button and checking out the videos. So it's really great to see the support that you guys have been giving me and supporting me when I'm going on Twitch or going now on iTunes, on YouTube, going on my website, my forums. Doesn't matter what I'm trying to do, what I'm doing to try and grow the channel, you guys are all going along and supporting that, and that's really, really great to see. There's a lot of dedicated fans, and I got to thank each and every one of you that has supported the show. So 25,000 is a big number. I'm very proud of it, but I tell you what, I'm not stopping anytime soon. I've got a lot more in the tank, a lot of gas left in the tank, and I want to hit that 100,000. That's my big goal, and if I hit 100,000, then I'll be very happy. I got this feeling, if I hit 100K, then I kind of feel as though, yes, I'm successful. I've gained success, but at the moment, I just kind of feel like, yeah, I'm doing all right. I'm doing okay. But when I hit 100K, I'll be very, very happy and very pleased. But it's going to be probably a couple of years away before I hit that. I'm hoping to hit 50,000 by the end of the year. That's obviously hoping that I get a big boost in subscribers from the new 2K16 game. But we're going steady along right now, so hopefully we can keep picking it up. So if you guys do want to support the show and you have any friends that would be interested in checking out the channel or checking out the podcast, no matter what, spread the word. Spread the word about the channel, spread the word about the podcast, and help me grow, and that'd be fantastic. So some questions that I've been getting is, where can you go to submit some questions for the show? And if you're not clear on what's the best way to go about submitting questions, should you submit them on YouTube or on the forums? It's pretty simple. All you got to do is you go on the latest episode of Let's Talk Tuesdays. You go on the latest episode, So last week's episode where I talked about Extreme Rules, and you would go on there and you would submit your question there. And when I'm going to film the show, I go ahead and I'll go and get all the questions that I want, and I'll get them out, and then I'll read them out, and I'll pick out the best ones. So I only look at the forums or in the YouTube comment section of my last Let's Talk Tuesday video. A lot of you guys are leaving questions in like my universe mode or my careers or GM modes. Don't do that because I won't read them. And some of you guys are hitting me up on Twitter and Facebook for questions as well. I'm not going to answer them there because I don't look there. I'm only going to be looking those two places. So the last Let's Talk Tuesday episode or on the forums. And the forums is probably the easiest place, to be fair, that you can go on to do it. And you can go on there. You can submit the question. You know, a lot of people, they submit them once they finish watching a pay-per-view or finish watching Raw. They go and throw a few questions down for me to answer. That's probably the best way to go about it. It's a lot easier to find it on the forums as well, and the link to that directly will be in the description below. So just clearing that one up. And of course the forums, we had a number of you guys coming along to the forums to watch Extreme Rules and chat live with us as well. That was really great to see. I promoted that on the channel as well. And you know, we had a lot of good fun discussing Extreme Rules as it was happening live. We did it for WrestleMania, and now we had even more coming along for Extreme Rules. In fact, we broke the chat record as well, so that was good. I mean, we had to upgrade the chat to allow more people to come on, and now the forums is really growing a lot. I think we're very, very close to hitting 650 members on the forums, so that's really cool. We only hit 500 last month, so the forums are starting to pick up a little bit, and that's really great to see. And I thank everyone, of course, that comes along to the forums. You know, I get to know a lot of you guys on the forums, and there's some people in the forums and I talk to every day, and I know them pretty well. So it's a really great place to interact with the fans, and that's really kind of what I wanted to do, what I wanted to make out of the forums. So a place that you can come along and chat wrestling, chat about my channel, and you know, I can get to interact with you guys and get your feedback as well. So really, really positive feedback so far on the show, and we got a lot to talk about on today's episode of Let's Talk Tuesdays. We got Extreme Rules. We're going to talk about the fallout of that. Plenty happened on Monday Night Raw, including the King of the Ring tournament. That was great. We're going to talk a little about gaming as well, what I've been doing this week. And I'm going to answer all your fan questions. As well as that, I want to introduce a bit of a Universe Mode segment. I don't know how this one's going to go down, but I want to spend some time maybe just chatting about Universe Mode, chatting about the recent Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, give my thoughts and predictions on what could go on along. And I don't know, just kind of give you guys a little bit extra. And I think most of you guys who listen to this show probably watch Universe Mode, so this is just an extra way for me to kind of talk a little bit about Universe Mode and give my thoughts and opinions on things. And if you guys have any questions about Universe Mode, feel free to ask me as well, and I'll be willing to answer them on the show. And I don't want to give away like spoilers or anything that I've got planned ahead. I'm not going to do that, but I'll just give my thoughts and opinions on what you guys have seen so far, and kind of, you know, what we can expect without really giving away too many spoilers, you know. So that's kind of the plan for that. So that's pretty much what we got planned for the show today. So let's go ahead and chat about Extreme Rules, and we'll go ahead and discuss everything I thought about the show, give my thoughts and opinions on each match. So let's do it. Alright, so Extreme Rules, I'm going to come out and say it right now. I thought the show was okay. I just thought it was okay. I didn't really enjoy it all that much, to be honest. But I enjoyed the first half of the show. I missed the pre-show where Neville defeated Bad News Barrett. I initially thought I was going to do the tag team match, and I wasn't really interested in watching the tag team match, to be honest. Which, by the way, towards the end of the show, you know, we had the tag team match, and it was really good. But I don't know. I just wasn't really interested in watching that, so I didn't bother with the pre-show. I didn't really feel like getting up at 9 o'clock in the morning to watch it. I wanted to sleep in a little bit, so I didn't watch it. But I've heard it was pretty decent, and Neville got the win. So I suppose Neville's kind of like the guy who they don't really know what to do with, but they want to keep looking strong. You know, they want him to do all these impressive moves. They want him to have these matches where he's showing off everything he can do. You know, he had a couple matches against some of the top guys, and he couldn't get the win, but he looked really, really, really good in them. So he wants, I think at the moment they're trying to book him to just show off his ability, and rather than kind of give him a strong push. But you know, we'll talk about it later when we talk about the King of the Ring, but I think Neville's going to be one of the favourites to win that now that Ziggler and Ambrose have both gone from it. So I think Neville could be definitely a clear favourite to win that. But good to see him beat Bad News Barrett. And a lot of people like Bad News Barrett, and a lot of people are very defensive about Bad News Barrett. To me, I've never really liked him. I've never really liked Bad News Barrett. I've never really seen the seeing what people see in him. And a lot of people ask me, what's the one guy that I think is overrated? What's the one guy that everyone likes but you really don't like and don't care for? It's got to be Bad News Barrett. To be honest, it's Bad News Barrett, because a lot of people say this guy's got so much charisma, he's so great in the ring, blah, blah, blah. I don't really see that. I mean, he's decent on the mic. His gimmick, I've got some bad news, is good. They don't even do that anymore with him. So I don't even know why they took that away from him, but he doesn't even do that anymore. And as well as that, I really cannot name one single Bad News Barrett match that I liked. I cannot name a match that sticks out in my mind. There's no Bad News Barrett matches that go, wow, yeah, remember that Bad News Barrett versus blah, 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 blah. I can't recall. I cannot recall a match like that. So Bad News Barrett to me in ring is just average. He's decent, he's good, but he's not great. And to be honest, they've tried with him for 5 years now. He's very injury prone, so I think it's time for Bad News Barrett to step away, and they need to start pushing some other guys. And I think Neville's got to be that guy. So I think Bad News Barrett has had his opportunity, and I think he could almost nearly be done. I don't think he's going to get released or anything like that, but I think he could be, on that Jack Swagger level where they've kind of done everything they can to do with the guy, and there's not much else they can really do. They tried to push him, it didn't work. So let's just have him lose to some guys and just hang around. I think Bad News Barrett's going to be that. How many times can you give him the Intercontinental Championship? He's held it so many times. He's never really done anything with it. So I think it's just best to kind of keep him away from the title and keep him away from the top of the card. I think he's not going to be a main event guy. I don't think he ever will be. So I think it's time to start investing your time in some other guys like Ambrose, Neville, even Ziggler. I think is doing a lot better than Barrett. I think Sheamus is on his last legs as well, but he's much more interesting as a heel than I think Bad News Barrett is. So to me, I have no interest in Bad News Barrett at all, so I'm glad to see Neville win. Next up, Ambrose defeated Luke Harper in a Chicago street fight. This was on the main show. I thought this was going to be the match of the night, and I think it was probably one of the best matches of the night. But the thing is, they started off really well, and then they kind of took the match out of the arena, and then they came back like an hour later. I didn't mind that. I thought that was pretty cool. I liked that. But I think the second half of the match just kind of fell a little bit flat. It just wasn't really all that great. I think the finish was a bit meh. It just kind of ended. They were building up to something big. It didn't really happen, and then it just kind of ended. It was just like, oh, what? Ambrose won. So Ambrose winning was the right call. I think he needed to get the win. I know Harper needs wins badly, but I think Harper's just not in there. He's not one of the guys they're looking to push at the moment, so he just has to wait his time, and he will get his opportunity. He will be something in the future. He just has to be the guy who works with these baby faces and puts them over, and he's that 6'10" menacing character that works well. It looks great. Really can dominate, and then have the babyface overcome him and gets him a big victory. So I think Ambrose winning was great, and it was really nice and refreshing to see Ambrose finally get a big victory. And I thought the match, like I said, I thought the match was good. I just thought the finish of it was kind of a bit meh. I didn't really like that, but them coming back an hour later, I thought that was cool. I thought they might have even come back at randomly through a match, through the Sheamus match or maybe the tag match, but they didn't. They just came back when the New Day was cutting a promo, so that was fine, and they just resumed the match. So that was cool. I liked that. It was good to see Ambrose get the win. Next up, Dolph Ziggler versus Sheamus. Dolph Ziggler defeated Sheamus. He got the roll up, but Sheamus basically got the win in the end by having Ziggler make him kiss his ass. So that match was good, and the finish and the result was great. They did it perfectly. Sheamus should not have won that match and just have Ziggler kiss him. That would do nothing. Ziggler winning was the right move. Then you had the tease of Sheamus, is he actually going to do it? Is he going to do it? And then, Sheamus got close. Oh, I'm not going to do it. Oh, am I going to do it? No, I'm not. That was really good. And the crowd was, egging him on. Come on, Sheamus, do it, do it, do it. And then when he turned, when he decided not to, he got on his knees, hit the low blow, and then hit the bro kick. The crowd was, booing him. It was so well done. It was the perfect result. They did it really, really well. And then Ziggler did kiss Sheamus' ass, and Sheamus can laugh away. It was a great heel moment. They've really done that segment very well, and Sheamus looked like the heel, act like the heel, and was done really, really well. So that match, was done very, very good. Didn't like the Kiss Me Ass stipulation, let's be real. I didn't really like that at all, but the result in the end was the right one. They went about it the right way, and now I think Sheamus and Ziggler, from judging what's going to happen on Raw, what happened on Raw, and probably what's going to happen in King of the Ring, it certainly seems like they're going to be continuing this Ziggler and Sheamus feud, probably into Payback, and maybe even beyond that, but maybe not. But I think that's the way to go. I'm enjoying the feud so far. I think so far so good between those two. Alright, moving on now, we've got the New Day versus Cesaro and Tyson Kidd for the tag team titles, and the New Day got the victory. So, a lot of controversy, a lot of talk about should the New Day have won this match. The New Day have now kind of turned heel. I was like, are these guys heels or not? What is going on? I was confused. I didn't know if these guys had turned already, but I guess the crowd kind of made up their mind for them. The Chicago crowd shit all over the New Day. New Day sucks, New Day sucks. But I gotta say, I did like how the New Day handled it, especially Xavier Woods. He was like, no, we don't suck. Keep trying to do the chants. He's like confused. What these guys are, we think we suck. Come on, we don't suck. And they were getting frustrated and this whiny, just, it was really well done by the New Day. And this match was really good. Like I said earlier on, I wasn't expecting much of it, but this is really well done. And I guess the New Day winning the titles, I think it's just basically because there's nobody else. The Usos are now out. I personally would have ran with Cesaro and Tyson Kidd for a little longer, but if Cesaro and Tyson Kidd are now full-fledged babyfaces, which I don't know if they are or not, I think they are. I really don't know. That's the thing. Had they turned, the crowd just basically said, okay, we love you, you're face now, and New Day, we hate you, you're a heel now. I think that's kind of basically what happened. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm a little confused with who's what, but I think it was just basically just done because there's no one really else to take the titles off Cesaro and Kidd. And I think you're going to have the Lucha Dragons come along and take the titles eventually. So, do you have the New Day, the heel tag team, they run with it for a little bit, they keep cheating their way to beat Cesaro and Kidd, and keep getting some heel heat, and eventually the Lucha Dragons beat them for the titles? Maybe, I don't know. But the New Day, what I've always said and what a lot of people have been saying is these guys, they just need to keep coming out, smiling, whatever, and then eventually they just have to snap and just go crazy and just, at the moment they're kind of still going, yeah, we're still going to clap along, and, you guys should be saying that we're awesome, we don't suck, stop chanting that, chant that we're awesome or whatever Big E said on Raw. So, yeah, I think so far this is going to be so good. I think this feud could be pretty decent, and I think the New Day, as a team, I've always said that they were horrible, but now they're starting to turn them around to the point where they are now watchable. They were very close to being on my shit list, and I think they might have even been on there for a while, but I think at the moment they've gotten out of the shit list, and it's going to be interesting to see how Kofi kind of does as a heel. We haven't seen him heel it up before. Big E, I've been a fan of Big E, but in recent times I've kind of gotten off the bandwagon. And Xavier Woods, I've never really liked the guy. I don't think he's really ever had an opportunity to show what he can do. When he first came along, he was with R-Truth or whatever, and then he just kind of did nothing. And then I think he stole what the big main event player, what's his name? Brodus Clay. He stole his music, and it was just a colossal failure from there. So really nothing really happened for Xavier Woods. He never really had an opportunity to show what he can do. So I think the New Day is a good chance for Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston to show what they can do as heels, and Big E to try and turn his recent woes around and show us what he can do. So the New Day, I think, is a good opportunity for these guys, and now that they're heels and now they're a bit more serious, they got the tag team titles now, I think the crowd certainly give them enough heat. They're definitely doing pretty well. So I'm very interested to see how they go about that in the future. So let's quickly run through the rest of these. We've got John Cena versus Rusev. I'm just going to say I didn't like this match. I don't like the Russian chain stipulation. I don't like the four corner stipulation. And Cena winning again is just, we all knew it was going to happen. So, and now we're going to have an I Quit match at Payback. And to be honest, I think that's just detrimental to Rusev, because if Rusev says I quit, well then Rusev has gone from the unbeatable monster to a quitter. And we all know Cena's not going to say I quit. There's no way in hell. He just said, I'm not going to quit for the United States. I'm going to do everything I can. I'm not going to quit for this championship. I'm not going to quit for this country on Raw. So there's absolutely no way Cena's losing this. The only way I see that one going down is if Lana gets on the mic and says, Rusev quits, he quits, stop the match, and begs the referee to stop. And that would create more dissension between Rusev and Lana. But, I don't know. So, this Four Corners Russian chain match, I should say, didn't like it. Don't like the stipulation. I enjoyed when they had it 3 lights on each. I was starting to get into the match then, but before that, I really could not care. I guess I knew what was going to happen. It was just your typical Cena match. Cena just hits the AA at the end and wins the match. It's like, ugh, come on. But, whatever. I guess, what's next for Rusev? I don't know, man. I've been very fearful for Rusev ever since Cena came along and started to feud with him. I've been very worried for Rusev. And it's pretty clear. Ever since he lost the title, ever since he lost at WrestleMania, Rusev just has not been the same. At least in my eyes, he's now lost, he's now vulnerable, and Cena's just, taken away all Rusev's steam, and before that, Rusev was kicking ass. He was doing really, really well. And now Rusev, just not looking good for him. Next up, Nikki Bella defeated Naomi, and I tell you what, Naomi looked like an absolute idiot. And this new look, these flashy glasses, these flashy shoes, it just to me just screams Vince McMahon. It just screams Vince going, oh, that's what all the black girls wear at the clubs, It's just like, what are they doing? It's just, I'm not going to say it's racist or anything like that, but it's just like a typical Vince McMahon not having a clue. And Naomi just looks like an absolute idiot. Just looks horrible. And her music is just dreadful. It's just, everything about it sucked. It's just horrible. I just don't like it at all. I laughed when she came out. But to be honest, I'm not surprised that she did come out like that. I'm honestly not surprised at all that, they did make her look like a bit of an idiot. I mean, she was already dancing along with, Call My Mama, and now she's dancing along to this crap. It's just, what are they doing? The thing about this match is the commentators didn't know who's what. I don't think they realized the Bellas are actually heels, because when Brie came along and interfered with Naomi to help Nikki win the match, they were like, what is going on? I can't believe she just did that. It's like, really? The Bellas, they're heels. Like, they do this kind of thing. Like, what are they? The commentators had no clue. And I guess for this feuds thus far, we've been kind of going, well, who's what? The Bellas now face. We know Naomi's meant to be a heel, so what is going on with the Bellas? And I think they are definitely still heels in my opinion. I don't know, but the commentators are just like, whoa, what's going on? I can't believe Brie Bella just did that. So I guess, are they going to turn them? Have they already turned? I don't know, but yeah. So this match, it was what it was. So I think Naomi, she's still obviously going to go for the title again coming into Payback. I thought the way to go was a DQ. They didn't do that. Instead, they had the screwy kind of, interference. So, whatever. But I still think Naomi, I don't really care. I don't really want her to win the title. I'm happy with Nikki. I'm happy with Nikki holding the title. And I think Naomi might just getting a bit of a small push, like Alicia Fox, and then eventually she's just going to lose and be done with her. So, I don't know. Next up, Roman Reigns versus The Big Show, last man standing match. Now, this surprisingly was probably the best match of the night, to be honest with you. And that really is just because we had a lot of exciting moments in this match, including Reigns getting chokeslammed through 2 tables, the spear through the table, the announce table was pretty awesome. So it's some big spots in this match that kind of made it more exciting. But again, it's Roman Reigns versus The Big Show, and we've seen this, 40-odd times. I think that's nearly an accurate number for how many times we've seen it this year. We've seen this match so many times. I'm just so over seeing these two guys face each other. But to be honest, a last man standing match, it was decent. Now, I gotta criticize the finish because I thought they should have just stuck with the spear through the table and then have Big Show stay down from that. Because I was like, whoa, what the hell? Big Show got up from that. And then they just had Reigns, Big Show just got up and then he got back down and Reigns tipped the table over the top of him and that was it. It was just kind of like, what? I just didn't like that. I just thought they should have just stuck with Reigns spear through the table, Big Show down and out. Crowd was already pumping after that, and the match there. But they dragged it on for just a little bit too long, in my opinion. But like I said, good match, enjoyed it. Lots of great moments, lots of exciting moments, and probably the only decent match these two guys have put on together so far. And hopefully it's the last one. Hopefully we don't have to suffer this one again. And finally, Seth Rollins versus Randy Orton inside steel cage for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. This kind of basically went down the way I expected it. And, you know, the confusion is, was Seth Rollins allowed to use the RKO? What did he cheat? You know, on Raw, he came out and said it was the SKO. So I guess that's pretty much, that's fine, I guess. You know, you just say, it's the same move, but I changed the name. I said you can't use the RKO, but I could use the SKO. So it just had modified my own version of it. So I guess that kind of dispels any kind of rumors of that, and they could get around that pretty easily. I knew that was going to happen, so that was a nice little slick way to get around that. But definitely, this was a decent match. Just wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be, and Kane coming in and choke slamming both guys, and then Randy RKOing Kane, and RKO on Randy Orton by Seth, and then Seth gets out. So, you know, it was what it was. I kind of expected it. I was just kind of waiting, okay, when's Kane going to get in? You know, when's the interference going to come along? It was just kind of like, ugh. But the highlight of the match, I thought, was when Randy Orton hit the pedigree. I thought that was pretty cool, when, you know, hitting the pedigree on Seth Rollins. I think that was pretty cool. But, yeah, this match was just, it was alright. It wasn't as good as their WrestleMania one. I didn't enjoy it as much, but it was a decent match. And, you know, Seth winning was the right way to go about it, and he won. And another, you know, opportunist, I kind of took my chance, you know, I needed help, you know, just kind of that slimy heel kind of way, which I think is the right way to go with Seth. You know, I know you might be saying, well, why don't you book him as a dominant heel? Why has he got to look so weak and need help all the time? Well, just, you know, this guy comes out and he needs help. He can't win it by himself, and he comes out and brags about how he did it all by himself. He comes out and brags about how great he is, but realistically, he didn't do it by himself. Without Kane, he wouldn't be able to do it. But he still comes out and acts like he did. So it's just a great kind of easy kind of way to get Rollins over as a heel. And he's definitely the most over heel in the company right now. He's doing very, very well, getting a lot of heat. So it's definitely working. And Seth Rollins is champion. I'm liking it. And I don't know when he's going to drop the belt. A lot of people have been asking me when's the next, who's going to win the title next. I don't know. You know, will it happen at Payback in the triple threat match? I don't know. But yeah, so there's a lot of possibilities, but overall, Extreme Rules, I initially gave it a 5. I probably will bump it up to maybe a 5.5, maybe a 6 at best. I just thought the show started off pretty well, and then the finish of it, like the Cena, the Divas, and the main event was kind of a bit lackluster. I did like Roman Reigns in the Big Show, like I said, but it was a decent show overall. There was a couple of decent highlights, but other than that, nothing really special, nothing really amazing. And I think a lot of people were saying there wasn't even an Extreme Rules match on the card. You know, Extreme Rules, it wasn't even an Extreme Rules match, and that's definitely true. And, you know, I don't know what they're trying to do with Extreme Rules now. You know, they're trying to eliminate the Extreme Rules match and just trying to have other stipulations that are somewhat associated with being extreme instead. I don't know. But, like I said, not a bad show. And I think majority of the right people won, I suppose, and heading in towards Payback, it's going to be pretty interesting. I think we're going to have a few rematches, to be honest with you, but yeah, so. Alright, moving on to Monday Night Raw. I'm not going to spend too much time on Raw, to be honest with you. I'm just going to say, King of the Ring, they just kind of brought it back randomly out of nowhere. I was like, what? King of the Ring? Really? Is it King of the Ring? You know, they just needed to build this up for at least a few weeks, you know, they just built it up for one night. And they had it the next night on Raw. It was kind of like, what? You know, they want the King of the Ring to mean something, but why would you have it back just randomly out of nowhere? You know, no pun intended for the RKO, but, you know, why would you just bring it back, you know, for no good reason? You know, are they just trying to do whatever they can to get one of these mid-carders over? I don't know. But they just had this King of the Ring concept. They just probably thought, okay, let's do King of the Ring. That's cool. Let's bring it back. People want to see it back. Okay, let's do it. And they just had it on a Raw. It just doesn't feel special. You know, I think King of the Ring, they should have done a 2-hour special on the network and just have the whole King of the Ring live and have it as a special event. You know, you don't have to have it as a pay-per-view. You can just have it as a network special. And you can have King of the Ring on the network. And they're doing that, but they're having the semifinals and the final on the network. So I guess they kind of wanted to do some of the matches on Raw. So I guess what they're doing is essentially my idea, but I would have just liked to have the whole thing, because I think to me, the whole concept of King of the Ring to me is you have to go the whole night. You need to win 3 matches in the one night. You need to go through 3 guys in the one night and survive, and that to prove you are the king of the ring. And what the WWE have been doing recently is they'll have a couple of matches on each show, and then they'll drag it out for a few weeks, and then they will have the final on a pay-per-view, or they'll have the final on a Raw or something like that. And I don't really like that. I think that you got to have all the whole thing in the one night. That's just kind of like what I liked, and they used to do that back in the day. But no longer are they doing that, and I guess that's a bit of a shame. But I guess doing the semi-finals and the final on the network is basically kind of what I wanted, just missing the preliminary matches, so whatever. But I think the King of the Ring being back is a good idea, but I just think the way they kind of just brought it back out of nowhere was a bit silly. They should have built it up to be a little bit more important than this. I know they were trying to slam it down our throats. This Hall of Famer, this Hall of Famer, this Hall of Famer have all won King of the Ring. This is the launching pad for so many careers. Yeah, sure. But if it's so important, why couldn't you just kind of say, oh yeah, and 3 weeks ago, I'd be like, yep, after Extreme Rules, the King of the Ring tournament will happen. And then we can get hyped up for it. We can get pumped up for it. Instead of me, last night, looking, for information about the King of the Ring, all I knew was there's going to be King of the Ring. I don't know who's going to be on it. I don't know what's going to be happening on it. All I knew was there's going to be King of the Ring on the network. I knew nothing about it. And I just kind of was a little bit confused with that. But nonetheless, so we've got Neville versus Sheamus and R-Truth versus Bad News Barrett as our semi-final matches, I should say. And the quarterfinal matches, they were pretty decent overall. I mean, I wanted Ambrose to win. I wanted Ambrose to go through to the final. I wanted to see Ziggler cost Sheamus the match and then Ambrose go through. And that way you could just focus solely on Ziggler and Sheamus going forward. But I guess they might just do that at King of the Ring. They'll have Ziggler come out and try and screw Sheamus over again against his match with Neville. And that way Neville can go to the final. I think it will be Bad News Barrett versus Adrian Neville, or Neville in the final of the King of the Ring. So they'll have a rematch from Extreme Rules, and that will be the final of the King of the Ring. Because there's no way R-Truth's going to beat Bad News Barrett and then have a Sheamus versus R-Truth final. That would just be, ugh. So Neville's got to win it. Neville has to win this King of the Ring, and that's the right decision. You got to have Neville win it. Is it too soon for Neville to be winning something this prestigious? Maybe, but I guess, they keep talking about how good he is in the ring and all the great moves he can do. I guess it kind of would fit, him being the king of the ring. So I don't mind that. What else did we have? We had Damien Sandow come out on Raw, and he cut a really good promo, and he talked about, look, this is why I did this. This is what's happening. This has been, everything that I've done in my career. Now I'm looking for a new identity. I thought that was cool. And had Curtis Axel come out, and Sandow beat up Axel. So that was a good segment. I like that. Bray Wyatt attacking Ryback. I predicted that last week, and it did happen. So that feud is now beginning. It's just kind of Bray Wyatt just attack Ryback just for no reason. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how this one develops. But I think that would be pretty good. I honestly think Ryback and Bray Wyatt, might be a decent matchup. I think that would be a good way to elevate these two guys who are doing nothing. These guys are on the brink of being a main event status. I think Bray Wyatt and Ryback are right up there. They just need that big feud, or they can be the guy that can step in there if need be. So they just need a big feud. They just need something to do. And put these guys together. I mean, obviously, the question is, and the problem is, who wins? That was the issue that I had when you had Bray Wyatt and Dean Ambrose. Who wins this match? Who goes on to win the feud? And obviously, Bray Wyatt won it in the end. But, I guess the same thing can be applied for Ryback and Bray Wyatt. They both need to win. So, who wins? Do you have these guys have a draw? Do you have just a one apiece? Nobody wins the feud, but both, get a bit of a showcase on pay-per-view. And I don't know. But I'm intrigued. I think it's going to be good. I'm a big Ryback fan, as you guys know, so I'm happy to see Ryback actually doing something instead of just kind of beating guys up for no reason. So that's a positive. And that's really all I took out of Raw. There wasn't really much else to talk about. I think it was just kind of your regular Raw show other than those components. And like I said earlier, the triple threat match for Randy, Seth and Reigns is the right way to go. I like that. And I'm looking forward to seeing that one. I still think Rollins is going to escape that one as the victor. I think he's just going to find a way to win. Whether someone will interfere or I don't know, but it might be just your typical Rollins victory. So we'll have to wait and find out how that one comes about, but I think that'll be very interesting indeed, and I'm looking forward to seeing that one. So, alright, that will do it for Raw. We'll move on to our next segment. We've got a bit of a gaming segment, and we'll get onto your fan questions, and we'll chat about Universe Mode. So this week on What Is Brendan Playing, we just finished Dying Light, and I know I was talking about that last week. I just got the Platinum on Dying Light, officially 100%ed it, done everything in the game. Finally, it took me a long time, a bit of a grind, and I posted the Platinum for that up on my second channel, Brendan's Platinums, and you can see that on the website or on that channel. So that was exciting to finally get my 50th Platinum, and that was a pretty big achievement for me. I'm very happy to get that. So that was exciting. But as well as that, if you guys have been watching my Twitch live streams, I've been doing some Battlefield Hardline and streaming that. Streaming that on Twitch, and I've been getting some friends and some fans on for Twitch, and streaming along on that on the PS4. So that's been really fun as well. I mean, Battlefield Hardline's a great game, and I'm looking for the next game to play now. I mean, I always get into this bit of a rut, you know, when I finish a game and I platinum a game, I just go, what am I going to play next? It's always difficult for me to get into another game and start playing another game. I'm thinking about probably going onto Far Cry 4 and starting to play that and giving that a bit of a go and platinuming that one up. But I've also got some other shooter campaigns. I mean, I could do like the Battlefield campaign. I need to finish off Killzone. And, you know, just a lot of games I've got at the moment. Just so many games. Dragon Age and, you know, so The Witcher's coming out very shortly, so there's a lot to do, lots of games to play, and so I'm just kind of wondering, what do I play next? What's my next move? So that's kind of where I'm at right now for this week, but definitely Dying Light was a great experience, probably one of my most enjoyed games in a long time. You know, storyline-wise, really fun, multiplayer, really fun, and just slashing up zombies was sweet. So definitely really fun there, and now I guess the next game in that kind of genre is Dead Island, the next Dead Island, so that should be really fun as well, so I'm looking forward to that one. But Dying Light, really, really good. Battlefield Hardline, really, really good. But now, my next game, what do I play? If you got any suggestions of what my next game should be, let me know in the comments, or tweet at me at BrendenPlayz, and tell me what I should be playing next, because I don't really know what's my next move, so... Alright, so let's get into your questions for this week, and lots to talk about this week from the WWE video game side of it. We'll kick it off with Tasteful Chain 4, and he wants to know, have you bought the WWE 2K mobile game, and what are your thoughts on it? Haven't got it, and I probably won't get it. Some people ask me, you know, should I do videos on it, whatever. I don't know. I don't really... Mobile gaming, to me, it just doesn't interest me. I do like the odd game here and there. To be honest with you, the most played mobile game I've ever played is probably Solitaire, to be honest. How lame does it sound? But I like playing Solitaire on my phone. That's really about it. I don't really mobile game, so it's not really my cup of tea. And it's like $8, probably $10 in Australia to cost to buy the game. So I'm not really going to lay down $10 when I don't really think I'll ever play it. So, no, I haven't got it. Don't plan on getting it, but I'm hearing some decent things about it. To be honest, I haven't really looked into it, so... Okay, so the next question comes from Punk. Do you think the Extreme Rules pay-per-view should be dropped and replaced with something else due to the lack of Extreme Rules matches? Well, you know, I do like the Extreme Rules pay-per-view, and I think it's a nice, fitting pay-per-view for where it is. You know, you have WrestleMania, and then, you know, you need something big to follow WrestleMania, something that you know, you can't just have your regular pay-per-view. You need something, you know, you need a gimmick pay-per-view to follow it, something to follow that's going to be interesting and kind of keep whatever they can get out of the WrestleMania audience. And for the most part, Extreme Rules has been very good. I think Extreme Rules has been running for, I don't know, I can't tell you the year, but for quite a while, at least 6-7 years, right, I think. So it's been running for quite some time. And for the most part, we've had a lot of Extreme Rules pay-per-views that have been pretty good. You know, 2012 was pretty good. You know, I think last year's wasn't all that great, and probably this year's wasn't all that great either. So I've had a couple of bad ones in a row now. So I guess they might have to start reevaluating what they're going to do with Extreme Rules. And I think the lack of Extreme Rules matches, I think they're kind of thinking in their mindset is, okay, we'll have these street fights, these no-holds-barred matches. We'll have these similar matches that aren't Extreme Rules, but, you know, they fit the kind of the build. So they're not going to have Extreme Rules quote-unquote matches. They're going to have no-holds-barred street fights. last man standing, steel cage. So these matches that do represent Extreme, but aren't exactly a quote-unquote Extreme Rules match. So I don't really mind it all that, to be honest with you, they're not doing the Extreme Rules matches. I think, did it really hurt the show? I mean, Extreme Rules is basically a no-holds-barred match. It's nothing really different to a Chicago Street Fight or anything like that. It's just different names. So it doesn't really matter what the name of the match is. It's all no DQ matches. So I don't think that really affected the show, to be honest with you. But I'm happy for Extreme Rules to stay on. I like the pay-per-view, and I wouldn't be dropping it. I mean, what else are you going to put in there? You know, the WWE have brought in Battleground, Payback, and Fastlane, and they're the newest pay-per-views. So Fastlane being the newest one, if they're going to bring in something different, I mean, I could just imagine how shitty it's going to be. So let's just keep Extreme Rules there. At least it's pretty interesting. At least we know we're going to get something different that night. Next up, from Maestro, who do you think will be the next NXT superstar to be called up to the main roster? Well, I'm not going to pick a superstar. I'm going to go with a diva. I think Charlotte's going to be the next diva brought up for sure. As for an NXT superstar, I think it's going to be Finn Balor's going to be the next one called up. I mean, that's the one I want to see called up next. So, yeah, I mean, you can probably bring up anyone from NXT. They're going to do a good job. I mean, they brought up Neville. They brought up the Lucha Dragons. I think they need to bring up a diva, and I think they need to do that next in either Sasha Banks or Charlotte before they bring up another superstar. They haven't really brought up all that many this time, so I think they are due to bring up somebody else. So I think expect to see someone else debut probably in the next couple of weeks. I mean, I know they brought out the Ascension before at the end of last year, so I guess, you know, they have the Ascension, the Neville, then the Lucha Dragons, so I don't know, but yeah, so I am very fearful for anyone that comes up from NXT, because I just have, in my opinion, I feel as though Vince is just kind of out to prove that WWE is better than NXT. So I'm surprised that some of these guys like Neville are getting protected. You know, look what happened to the Ascension. The Lucha Dragons weren't even on tonight. So I don't know, but we'll have to wait and see. But I think Charlotte will be very protected since she's Ric Flair's daughter. So I think she's going to get pushed to the absolute moon. So when she does come up, she's going to win that Divas Championship very, very quickly. I wouldn't be surprised if she beats Nikki Bella for it. Next up, from Sheepy, and he's got a little bit of a different one, so this is not a wrestling question. To get away from wrestling, what's the Ashes score going to be? And of course, the Ashes is a cricket series, and Australia won it last time. It's between Australia and England for all you guys who don't even know what cricket is. But Sheepy, to answer your question, my friend, it's going to be 5-0, baby. It's going to be 5-0. Nah. The English weather is so bad, it's going to have at least 2 matches are going to get rained out. So I'm going to go 2-1 Australia. Next up, from Ramsey Keegan, what are your thoughts on W2K15 getting released on PC? Do you plan on buying it? No and no. I'm definitely not buying it, and my thoughts on it, about time, and I'm actually kind of surprised that they brought it out full stop. 2K aren't really fans of PC. They don't bring out a lot of their games on the PC, so I'm not surprised that this one took forever to get there. And as for it coming out on PC, I think it's kind of cool because you'll be able to mod the game and actually bring in, I don't know exactly what you can do with mods. You know, I don't PC games, so that's why I'm not going to get it. But from what my understanding is, they'll probably be able to mod the game, bring in new attires for everyone, maybe even bring in new wrestlers, maybe even make new divas, I don't know. But I'm sure they'll be able to do a lot with the game on the PC to make it more interesting. So for that reason alone, I think that's kind of worth picking up to have all those mods. But other than that, I wouldn't bother with it. I mean, I don't PC game. My computer, it can run PC gaming, but I just kind of feel as though I'll just stick with the console. I'm a console guy, I always have been. And I hope I always will be, because playing with a mouse and keyboard just doesn't feel right to me. I just don't, just not my bread and butter, you know. But definitely, I think it'd be pretty decent on the PC. If you're a PC gamer, I would definitely say buy it, because you'll have that mod factor and you'll be able to do what you want with the game and make it more your own. So for that reason alone, it might be worth picking up. But other than that, it's just your base W2K15 game, which wasn't all that great, so probably not worth buying. Next up is from Tatenda Atabu. That's an interesting name. Do you see Neville with the IC title, or do you think he will challenge Cena for the US title? Definitely the IC title, I think, at this point. I think Neville, could be one of the favourites to win it off Daniel Bryan. if Brian does compete, or if Brian does vacate it, I think Neville could be one of those guys that could come in and win it. But the thing is, I think Neville's going to win King of the Ring. So is the King of the Ring winner going to get an IC title opportunity? Is the King of the Ring going to get the IC title if Brian has to vacate it? I don't know. So I think Neville's more suited for the IC title at this point, rather than, keep him the hell away from Cena. Let's be real. Let's keep him the hell away from Cena. And, I think it's either going to be Sheamus, in my opinion, or Neville, who's going to be the next IC champion. So we'll have to wait and see what goes on there. But I think Neville's more suited to the IC title. And I see the IC title as that workhorse kind of title. And I think that kind of fits the build for Neville a lot more. And I think he would suit the IC title a lot more. Plus, he's not American as well. I always find it a little bit weird when, non-Americans hold the US title and they go around and, especially if they're a babyface. If they're a heel like Rusev, it makes sense. But if you're a babyface holding the US title, it's kind of like, what? When Sheamus held it forever, he's a non-American. He's going around saying, I'm proud to be the United States champion, whatever. It's just kind of like, what? You're not even American. It just, to me, doesn't really make all that much sense. So I would have Neville win the IC title. Up next, Joe Levy. What would you think about a Batista return? So the rumor is Batista wants to return to house shows if he is going to return. So I shouldn't say he wants to. I'm going to say if he was going to return, he wanted to do the house show thing like Chris Jericho. So that'd be really cool to see. Obviously, I won't get to see it, so that probably won't be all that cool for me. But Batista has been my favorite wrestler, at least my top 3 forever. Ever since I started watching, Batista was my one guy. He was the one guy that I liked the most. When I first started watching in 2005, Batista was the champion, and I was 10 years old, and Batista was my man. Batista was the man, and he was my go-to guy, my favorite, and I've always liked him ever since. I've loved him in Guardians of the Galaxy. I've watched some other of his movies. I'm definitely going to watch James Bond. He's going to be in that. So I'm a big Batista fan. I'm supporting Batista in every way I can, and I think Batista coming back to the WWE will be great. And to be honest with you, I was one of the guys who would be cheering Batista when he came back on the Royal Rumble. I was rooting for Batista. I was going, yep, Batista, I hope you win. I hope you win at WrestleMania. I was hoping for it. And it had the whole Daniel Bryan thing, and I was just like, oh man, this whatever. But I was ashamed of the way that they treated Batista on his return. I think Batista did the right thing. He lost to Bryan at WrestleMania. He then put over the Shield twice. So Batista did everything he can to kind of rectify the bad situation that he was put in by the WWE at the Royal Rumble. And, he deserves a better exit than that. So I hope that he does come back and have one more run on TV. And even if he just comes back for house shows, I think that'll be good for him just to come back and, hopefully get a good reception from the crowd. And the crowd can see Batista and, enjoy Batista for perhaps one last time. Next up, from Sty Orgeris. Do you think WWE should release Fastlane, so remove Fastlane, and don't have any pay-per-view in that month of February? So WrestleMania would have a 2-month build. Yes. If you're going to have Fastlane, which the pay-per-view sucks, the name sucked, the show was alright. I'm going to say, I didn't criticize Fastlane all that much, but the pay-per-view name kind of sucks. There's nothing towards the show. The Elimination Chamber, I like that. I like the Elimination Chamber because you had the champion, the world champion, and he had to go through one more huge obstacle to get to WrestleMania. It made sense. Fastlane does just what? It doesn't make sense. You didn't even have the world champion defended on Fastlane. So, to me, remove Fastlane, you won't lose anything. And it's a network subscription now. It won't matter. I mean, nobody's buying the pay-per-views. Everyone's going to be already subscribed to see WrestleMania, so it doesn't really matter if you remove Fastlane. A 2-month build for WrestleMania is a lot better because you're considering WrestleMania this year. The build-up towards it sucked. The build-up was non-existent. Only a few matches had any decent build. Other than that, majority of it had no build at all. It was disappointing. It was frustrating. And I think they really need to really evaluate what they're going to do at WrestleMania. I think WrestleMania itself is going to sell, but the result and the execution of WrestleMania, they need to kind of reevaluate that. And I think a lot of these matches on WrestleMania, they were already good, but they could have been a lot better, especially like their big marquee matches like Sting, Triple H, Undertaker, and Bray Wyatt. they needed a lot more build, and they didn't do and book that feud good at all. And I don't know if they needed more time with it, or it's just the fact they didn't bother to have anybody show up on the shows. But I suppose more time to build up these matches is always going to be better. So I'm all for Fastlane getting dropped for sure. And I'd be dropping Hell in a Cell as well, replacing that with something. I would probably drop TLC as well. I don't mind TLC, but I would probably drop it. Just these pay-per-view match gimmicks, Elimination Chamber, Hell in a Cell, TLC, I would drop those. Money in the Bank, to me, suits its own pay-per-view, but Hell in a Cell, TLC, they don't. It's just like, why, Why are we having a TLC match? Oh, because the pay-per-view said so. Why are we having a Hell in a Cell match? Because it's a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, we have to. And it's just kind of devalued those matches so much to the point where it's almost impossible for those matches to ever go back to the prestige that they were at one point. Next up is from Ituyuk. I don't know. ITUCC12. So, yeah. Did you get Mortal Kombat X? No, I didn't get Mortal Kombat. I mean, it looks really good, but I'm not a fighting guy. I don't really like fighting games all that much. I don't mind playing them for a little bit of time, but I'm not a guy who's going to sink his teeth into a fighting game, learn all the combos, learn all the moves, learn everything about the game. That's just not me. But I do enjoy playing the game casually against friends, but I wouldn't really go out and pay, at the moment it's $100, so I wouldn't go out and pay $100 for the game. So Mortal Kombat looks good though. I definitely would recommend if you're a fighting player. I mean, if that's your type of genre, for sure. I'm more of a shooter, action kind of guy, not fighting really. So I don't really like those style games, so I'd give it a miss, but it looks good. So if I was going to see it, if I saw it cheap one day, maybe I'd pick it up, but definitely not going to pay full price for something like that I probably wouldn't play all that much. Alright, final question for today's episode comes from Jack Bisker. Is YouTube your main job? So I get this question quite a lot. Are you a full-time YouTuber? What's the deal? No, I'm not a full-time YouTuber. I do upload videos quite a lot, though. I obviously spend a lot of time doing it, but I guess it is quote-unquote my main job because I don't have another job. But it's not my main goal in life. I don't want to be a YouTuber. Like, that's not my plan in life. I'm a student, so I have some time in my hands to do this kind of thing, and it's a good way to kind of get me by, and it allows me to pay for my horrible gaming habit that I have, and it allows me to kind of interact with people and keeps me going, gives me something to do, keeps me busy. So that's kind of why I really like it, and I want to do business in the future, and I think YouTube's a nice little kind of entry point into the business world a little bit, certainly for what I've taken it to, doing the website, podcast, merchandise, things like that. So definitely I've tried to make YouTube not just a YouTube channel, but go beyond that and go to the next level to try and make it something bigger than that. But definitely it is, I guess, my job at the moment, but I don't see it as a job, and I don't plan it on making it my career, my full-time job. Okay, so that's all the questions we have for today's episode. And before we end the show, I just want to talk about Universe Mode a little bit. And we just came off the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. So this is something I wanted to do on the Let's Talk Tuesday podcast. I want to just kind of talk about Universe Mode, touch on it for a few minutes, and just kind of give my thoughts and opinions on things. So let me know if you guys like this idea, and let me know if you guys have any questions to do with Universe Mode and what you want to be answered, or if you have a question about, what's going on with Cena, what's going on with Punk, why isn't Daniel Bryan getting opportunity, what's your plans for these guys? I'll reveal some of that in the show. So if you have any questions regarding that, I know a lot of you guys love Universe Mode as much as I do, and you're really intrigued by it, and you have a lot of questions to do with it. I think it'd be pretty cool to kind of chat about it for a little bit, and I love talking about it. So we're coming off Hell in a Cell, and we had the Hell in a Cell match between Jericho and the Undertaker. I want to talk about this one first. And Sting came out, obviously, and attacked the Undertaker. So my question really is, what's the deal? We had the episode of SmackDown where we saw that Sting will be a part of Team Jericho to face the Undertaker. So we have Sting and Jericho, and they're going to take on Sting, Jericho, and Bray Wyatt are going to take on Ambrose and The Undertaker, and we don't know the third man for Team Undertaker yet. So this is a really interesting one. We all kind of thought, well, whose side is Sting on? Is he on Jericho's side? Is he going after The Undertaker? We didn't really know, and I don't know how Sting really will compete. How will he fare with The Undertaker, against The Undertaker, and with Chris Jericho at Survivor Series. So that's going to be a really interesting one. And who's going to be the third man? Obviously, we had Christian. He made a surprise return to SmackDown, and we saw Jericho and Christian interact, and Christian basically said, yo, let's get the band back together, let's get the Charisma Code, let's rejoin, let's reunite, let's put the past behind us, let's sign up, let's go to SmackDown, and let's dominate, let's take over again like we did on Raw. You can be the world champion, and we can win the tag team titles together. I'll try and win the Intercontinental Championship, we can rule the whole show. And Jericho basically said, no, I don't want that. I want to put the past behind me. I was just using you as a chance to take me to the next level. Now that I'm at this next level, I don't want to be associated with you. I don't want to have to deal with you anymore. And I don't want to deal with a has-been who needs to live off someone else's glory to succeed. So Jericho is very harsh on Christian. So I guess my question is, the third man, will it be Christian? Will Christian attack Jericho? Will Christian want revenge on Jericho for what he said? Because Christian just kind of stood there and took it. He just kind of said, okay, that's fine, and shook his hand and walked away. But you kind of get the feeling that Jericho and Christian, there's a lot of animosity between the two of them, and Christian was always pissed off that Jericho just kind of left him high and dry. He didn't say anything. He just kind of walked away from Raw and just cashed in and didn't say anything to Jericho and hasn't talked to him since. So Jericho's just kind of ignoring Christian, and Christian's just kind of wondering, what's the next move for me? What am I doing next? Why isn't he talking to me? What's next for me? He's got himself back on the SmackDown. So is Jericho and Christian now going to enter a bit of a rivalry, or what's going on there? Will Christian attack Jericho, or will Christian just say, okay, that's fine, and go back to Raw and leave Jericho alone? I don't know. But that's kind of my question for you guys today. What's the deal with that? Do you think Christian's going to attack Jericho? Let me know in the comment section down below. So that's pretty much going to do it for today's podcast. I just want to give some plugins as well. So follow me on Twitter. We hit 1,000 followers on Twitter this week as well. So thanks to every one of you that did follow last week. I did put out the request to try and help me get there. We did. This week was a bit of a milestone week, wasn't it? 25k, 1,000 followers on Twitter. We're almost at 500 likes on Facebook. We need a couple, maybe another 100 to get there. So we are starting to get getting through some of these milestones. It's pretty exciting to get there. So as well as that, we launched 2 new shirts on the BrendenPlayz merchandise store on the website. So you can get yourself a Let's Talk Tuesdays shirt to celebrate the launch of the podcast. There's a red one and a white one, and I'm talking about logos. So you get the traditional red logo that the show uses, or you can get the white logo that's the alternative one. And the red logo looks really good on the white shirt, and the white logo looks really good on the black shirt. So that's the ones that I recommend to you guys. They're only $22.99. That does not include postage, so that depends on where you live. It does post in America, so I think the postage will be, a few dollars or whatever. So that's pretty exciting to be launching those shirts as well. And like I said earlier on, the podcast had a really successful launch week. You guys really showed a lot of love. So if you guys could leave a rating on iTunes, that would help get the search rankings for the show a bit higher, and that would help the show a lot. And as well as that, if you want to support the show, you can download it on Spreaker. Follow us on Spreaker as well. The link to that in the description below, and you guys can support the show there. And if you want to know how you can keep up with the show pretty easily, you can do it on the website, BrendenPlayz.com. All the shows are posted there, and all the links to the shows are going to be posted there. So the direct Spreaker link, if you want to just listen to the audio directly on Spreaker, you can do that on the website, or you can do it on Spreaker itself. So it's very easy to get your hands on the podcast, and you can download it directly and play it off your media player on your computer or whatever. So you can do many different ways to listen to the show, and that's kind of what I wanted to do. Alright, so that's going to do it for today's edition of Let's Talk Tuesdays. Like I said, if you have any questions for next week's episode, please leave them in the comment section below, or hit me up on the BrendenPlayz forums on the Let's Talk Tuesdays thread, and I will go ahead and answer them for next week's show. Thank you so much, guys, for checking out this week's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, you know what to do, and I will see you all next Tuesday.